On your note sheet there in the bulletin, there are a couple blanks that I encourage you to fill out as we go through this. But I want to start out at the very top and just remind you that over the last few weeks, it's been my stated goal to make you the coolest people possible. That in 2011, I want you to be super cool. I want you to be awesome. I want you to be the kind of people who, when you walk into a room, the conversation stops. You know what I mean? And not in the bad way either, because you're wearing something funny on your head or whatever, but in the good way, where the people sitting around you, standing around you, they see you come in there like, oh, he's finally here. Now we can really get this party started because the coolest person of the day has walked in. That's what I hope for you. I hope that I know you're already like that, so I'm just asking you to kick it up a notch, to be like the coolest person in the city, because I know you already got the room taken care of. So the reason I'm asking you to do this, to take this perspective, is that I firmly believe that a person who is deeply connected to Jesus Christ, the one who came from heaven to earth to die, to rise, and to go back up into heaven, and who is now at the Father's side on our behalf, talking to God the Father on our behalf, I believe that people who know him have something different about him. And not just in a weird way, although there is that sometimes, but in a meaningful, something that rises above the fray of the average and ordinary life kind of way. And I believe that could be you. In fact, if we look at this set of verses that I printed on your note sheet, I think you can see that the it factor that believers in God should have is biblical. Take a look at this. In Psalm 1, verses 2 through 3, we've been looking at this all 4 weeks. It says, his delight is in the law of the Lord. Whatever he does prospers. And so God is saying to us that a person whose delight is in God's words, God's way of doing things, a person who delights in that will prosper. That's a pretty good promise. I like that one. And prosperity is cool. So if you delight in God's law, then you're going to prosper in some kind of way. It might be financial, might be in some other kind of way. I don't exactly know. But you will prosper, and that prosperity will make other people think you're cool. And they'll be like, hey, how can I get some of this? Right? Then the next one, John 10:10. Jesus says, I've come that they may have life and have it to the full. Jesus is saying, I want you to live the full experience of what life can be, what life is all about. I want you to rise above the emptiness of this world and float with fullness. So we've been looking at these verses, and we believe that because of these kinds of things, God wants us to be cool. But here's the deal. Over the last few weeks, we've talked about the 4 things that are required for you and me to get into our lives in order for us to live this way. We need air, which is the metaphor of God breathing into us. We need to be so connected to God that nothing else really matters that much. Deeply connected to God. We need to be people who are in community with others so that the fire and the heat that each one of us produces can make us all do something better together than we could do on our own. We need to be people who are growing and are not satisfied with the stagnancy of just being a seed in the dirt, but we need to make sure we're growing and something is coming out of our lives. Fruitfulness is happening. And then last week we looked at this metaphor of water and how water is this idea of refreshing other people, and that God is going to refresh me and I'm going to refresh others. Well, today I want to give you the glue that ties all these different things together is one of 2 words, and you can pick the word you like better, but it's these 2 words, commitment or covenant. Commitment or covenant. That's what's going to tie all these bits together. So you could be the kind of person who you're really working on this piece, you're really working on this piece, you've got little bits of your life that are sort of coming into focus, that are sort of getting things worked out, but unless it's all coming together in some fashion, it's just going to be little tiny bits here and there. It's going to be like stars in the sky rather than the sun. And the sun lights up everything because it's a lot more focused and it's a lot closer. So what I'm going to encourage you today is to recognize that these words, commitment and covenant, are the thing that you need in your life to make all the rest of it work. I remember when I bought my first house, and there were things in that purchase that revealed to me a new level of commitment, a new level of covenant than I had ever known before. So I want to share with you some of the things that I learned by going through my first house buying experience, okay? This is my 10 steps to buying a house. If any of you are interested in buying a house, or you're in that process right now, here you go. I'm just giving you this for free. You know, this is not, I'm going to have a seminar sometime in the future where I'll charge people for this. But for this one, you know, these are my 10 steps to buying a house. Okay, step number 1, talk to a realtor. And I spelled it wrong because I didn't put the there, but talk to realtor, I guess. There you go. That's what you need to do. Talk to realtor. And by the way, it is not a realtor. It's realtor. This is my pet peeve. Sorry, I had to go there. Okay, number 2. Step number 2, you have to get pre-approved. When we talked to our realtor the first time, she said, okay, I can't do anything for you until I know how much money you may possibly someday have over the course of the next 30 years of your life. So you need to talk to someone who specializes in figuring out how much money you're going to have over the next 30 years. You need to go to a psychic. No, I mean, you need to go to a mortgage broker. That's right, a mortgage broker who can give you pre-approval, and they can tell me how much money you can spend. Okay, now once we know how much money you can spend, rather how much money you're willing to finance, now we're going to go on to the next step, and we're going to actually look for a house. That comes third on the list. You know, you can't look for a house until we know these other things. So then you actually look for a house. And this is where it starts getting really scary, okay? Because when you find the house that you want, then you have to make an offer on it. So that's step 4. You have to make an offer on the house. And I think that's when it all really begins. Because when you make that offer, you have to write a check, an earnest money kind of check. We had to give the lady like $3,000 or something to say, yeah, we're really serious about that. And I was like, oh, that's a lot. Maybe it was less. Maybe it was 500. It was a long time ago. I don't even remember. But what I do remember is step 5, fear and trembling. Because so many things can go wrong. You make the offers, they could come back and say, sorry, that's not enough money. Or they could come back and say, yeah, that's perfect, we'll take it. And then it's like, great, now what? They just took the offer. So fear and trembling is all over the process right then. So then when they come back and say, yes, we'll take the offer, then it's step 6, which is rejoicing plus fear and trembling. And then chapter 7, or step 7, is this: assemble all the paperwork you need. So you have to have social security documents sometimes, you have to have employment records, you have to have bank statements, you have to have all kinds of paperwork that you have to pull together and get this done. And then step 8, you close. And this is the part that shook me up. Because when I go to Walmart and I want a video game, I stand in line for like a minute and a half. Or maybe 2 minutes, maybe 5 minutes at the most. And then I get to the front of the line and I hand